Right, hey Alisaman, welcome back to my chat. I swear to God, who is texting me? Hey Alisaman, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a video that is probably going to get me a lot of comments from people who probably disagree. I saw this on one of my Facebook feeds, and it was Loki as a transgender god. And there were a lot of people with some very strong opinions on this subject, as there usually is with anything that involves gender or sexuality. So I figured that I would give my 2 cents on this subject as somebody who is non-binary. Firstly, one of the first things that drew me to Loki in general was his ambiguity regarding gender. At the time, I considered myself to be gender fluid, now non-binary, as I said, and I saw a lot of similarities between how he interacts with gender and how I interact with gender. So, Loki is not a stereotypically masculine god, as opposed to, say, Thor, who likes to beat things to death with his hammer. He is the epitome of the stereotypical masculine man. He will build you a shack or a shed in the back, and he will down a beer with the boys, cracking a cold one with the boys. Thor is the epitome of what you would consider a masculine man to be. And that's all well and good, because in this house we love and respect Thor. But at the same time, that's not who Loki is. They are very different. In fact, his due to his shape-shifting and his practicing of magic and his birthing of children, many would probably argue that he is in fact quite a feminine figure in Norse lore. Granted, that's looking at things in a very binary way, and I personally wouldn't ascribe the practice of magic to be particularly feminine, but that is another video for another time about the gender of magic and different practices that I also have very strong opinions on. I will probably do a separate video about magic and gender and all that stuff, if enough people want it, but I'll probably just do it anyway, because I'm bored. Anyway, so throughout the stories of Loki, we see him presented in a way that is distinctly different from the other male figures in the Nordic pantheon. While you do have Thor, who dresses up as Freya in order to get his hammer back, it is presented in a kind of joking way. Thor does not literally become a woman. He's very angry about having to be Freya. He's also very angry that his hammer was stolen, so he's just in a bad mood all around, and that's kind of hinted at in the story where Thrym is like, oh, well, you got some eyes on you, don't you? And they're like burning red with hatred. And he's like, yeah, because I haven't slept because I love you so much. Give me the fucking hammer. He's not happy. He's not enjoying his time playing dress up as Freya. Whereas Loki changes himself into the handmaiden and kind of plays referee with Thor being like, God damn it, and Loki's like, hey, yeah, she's just very happy to see you. You stop growling. He's trying so hard. That story is largely presented in a joking manner, and I think it's not meant to be like, oh, Thor enjoys dressing up as a woman. No, he did it for a specific reason. Loki, on the other hand, he changes into Thor's handmaiden, for instance, and in the Lokasenna, Odin even accuses Loki of having spent 10 years on Midgard as a woman and having birthed children during that time. Now, we don't have a record of if there was a story that actually took place about Loki living on Midgard like that, and it's only really mentioned in the Lokasenna where Odin accuses Loki of this, but I would be really interested to know if there was at one time an actual story about this, because I feel like, especially regarding Loki, there is a lot of stories that have been lost, or when they were written down by Snorri, they were altered in specific ways. And there's another story that we'll be getting to in a bit that kind of has a similar flair to it. So, most famously, there is the story of Loki birthing Sleipnir. He changed into a mare to distract Svaldafari, the builder's horse, during the building of the Wall of Asgard, so that the builder would be unable to complete his task and be paid Freya. This led to him becoming impregnated and giving birth to Sleipnir. This is a significant story because it's arguable that maybe Loki could have come up with many different ways to distract the builder's horse, but he chose to take the form of a female horse. Now, it is debatable whether it was a consensual joining. Some people have debated that maybe that wasn't exactly what he had in mind, but I mean, regardless of how consensual it was, and if that was exactly what Loki was planning, it does show that he is comfortable in female forms of even different species. Similarly, in the, I'm gonna pronounce this wrong, Hinlulioth, there is a story of Loki consuming the half-cooked heart of an evil woman, and becoming pregnant from this act. He then gives birth to what is described as monsters, Some specifically say that this is a race of trolls or ogres. Others claim it is witches on Midgard or evil women specifically. Now, this story is mentioned in the Hyndluljóð, but we don't really have a lot of records about if it was part of a larger thing. It's kind of like a smaller version of the Voluspa, and many people believe that this is the heart of Gulvi, which some people also believe is Angrboda. We just don't have a good timeline record of what exactly this heart was, if it was actually a heart, or if it was a metaphor for something, which I will get to in a second. So there are different ways to interpret this story, such as the heart belonging to Angrboda, who some believe is Gulvi. And the monsters, some people believe that Loki was impregnated with, could have been Fenrir, Jormungandr, and Hel. Now, this is an interesting way of looking at the birthing of his children. Some people also interpret Angrboda to be a shapeshifter as well, and that instead of birthing the children herself, himself, theirself, it was them that impregnated Loki, and Loki was the one that birthed Fenrir, Jormungandr, and Hel. And we just don't have a lot of conclusive evidence to say one way or another. The most popular belief is that, you know, Angrboda is the mother, Loki is the father. Possibly. Another way of interpreting this story is that some people think that the heart was a metaphor for a way of thinking or ideas. When the heart was consumed, it was knowledge that was passed on from Angrboda, Gulvi, to Loki via a conversation. You consume ideas, you take them into yourself, and that kind of festered in him the rebellion, if you will. That he later exhibits in other stories, and kind of a contention between him and the other gods. But the main course of that story is that Loki became impregnated after consuming a heart, whatever the heart may have been, and he ends up birthing monsters. So there's really three main stories of him giving birth. There's the one where Odin accuses him of living as a woman on Midgard and birthing children. There's the story of the heart, and there is the birthing of Sleipnir. So this gender fluidity is something that has interested many who identify as transgender or non-binary, and is something that I myself have gravitated to and have been intrigued by with working with him. I've gained more insight into myself and grown more comfortable with myself. Something that I was hiding for a long time. Now, this topic is very divisive, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of angry comments about how this interpretation of Loki is wrong, and that this is somehow trying to force modern issues into the pantheon. You're trying to take issues that are modern. No, transgender people have existed forever. It's kind of like autistic people have existed forever. Billy wasn't a changeling. He was probably just autistic, but, you know, whatever. But this shouldn't be a radical take on something. It is known that Loki kind of plays with the lines of everything. Loki is an Pooka, no! He's Loki, why? Loki. He is an ambiguous figure in the lore, and where is my dog? Hold on. Pooka, what are you doing, honey? I was almost done. Who's gonna be quiet? So yes, this shouldn't have to be a radical take. I would also like to say that I feel like a majority of people who take issue with this interpretation are probably also the same people who take issue with transgender people existing in general. And I really have to ask why, if that is something that you just don't like, because it's like the gay marriage thing, like people who rallied against gay marriage, and I had a lot of family members that rallied against gay marriage, and it's not your marriage. If you don't want a gay marriage, don't get one. It's okay. No one's forcing you to get one, honey. You want to finish the video with me? We're almost done. Come here. This goes for all of heathenry and paganism in general. There are a lot of different interpretations of stories, and there are a lot of different interpretations of gods, and I think it's kind of, it's always good to have not an argument, but a debate, a healthy debate over different things. But if you don't agree with somebody and it's not directly affecting you, sometimes it's best to just walk away or agree to disagree, because you all have your own different practices. I don't think it's worth, pestering somebody or going after somebody because you don't see Odin as the same being. You don't have the same interpretations of them, and there are a lot of UPGs that people have about Loki. A lot of people have different UPGs about Loki. A lot of people see Loki as a sinister being who's only out to bring negativity, and I don't see that. I don't see him as negative in the least, in the slightest, which is something that a lot of people disagree with, but that's fine. If you disagree with it, that's cool. I'm not going to fight you as long as you're respectful of my different interpretation. But if you don't respect my different interpretation and you want to be a complete assbag, then yes, I will fight you. Is that right, Pookas? He's blind and I'm small. Shut up. Can I move? Can you see Pookas? Can you see Pookas down here? That's my boy. That's my boy. You know, I originally wanted to name him Thor. Just a little fun fact. When we first got him, I originally wanted to name him Thor, but then he got named Pooka after, you know, Irish shape-shifting creatures. Who's my shape-shifting creature? It's you! Yes, it is! So that's enough of my shouting from a soapbox. So the point of this video is to shine some light on the different gender motifs and connections that Loki exhibits in the lore, and to explain why so many trans people identify with him. So I definitely think that while some people don't like outright calling him transgender, he definitely exhibits a willingness to bend the rules of literally everything. But he doesn't shy away from becoming a woman. He doesn't shy away from literally birthing children. And that's something that most manly... You're not going to see Thor birthing a child, okay? That's just not something that he's up for doing. But you know what? Loki kind of takes everything and flips it on its head, and I think that that's something that draws a lot of people to him. He's quite literally a god of outcasts. He is a god of people who have different interpretations about things, and I think that is fantastic, and that is one of the reasons why I associate so strongly with him. So, with that fact, I hope you have found this video a little bit insightful, and if you liked it, smack that like button. And if you like Pookas... Hold on, I gotta move my microphone. Oh, babies. Hold on. Pookas! If you like... Stop texting me. I know, the audacity of some people's children, huh? If you like Pookas, smack that like button. Ain't that right, Pookas? You got anything to say? You got anything to say? Yeah? Yeah? What else you got? You gonna tell everybody they should like the video? Yeah? You should totally smack that like button. And subscribe! Yeah, you should subscribe! Good boy! You should subscribe. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I look forward to doing other videos on different... My microphone is like right in my face, but I look forward to doing additional videos about probably some controversial topics. I'm going to start doing more, because apparently y'all are thirsty for some paganism videos. And you know what? I've been missing doing my paganism videos, because frankly, editing game videos is tiresome, and editing these is a lot easier. So, I'm gonna get back to doing that. And I also have a new setup in case anybody is, you know, wondering why things look different. So I'm actually really happy with this setup I got going. And I mean, so Pooka is gonna be my new my companion. Like your babies. Can I have a hug? Can I have a hug? Can I have a hug? Okay, I'm gonna stop with my dog now. Until the next video, guys. Bye. Pooka, you did some good jobs. You did good jobs. Good job. High five. No, it's not high five. Bork!